Thank you for tuning into Blue Dog Radio. This is your host, The Wag. I have 3 questions I would like to ask Mitt Romney, who is now the Republican nominee for president. It's now official. First, I'd like to say, Mr. Romney, I love what you and Chris Christie and Paul Ryan have said about getting real with the American people. We do need strong leaders who are going to tell us what we can and can't afford. You've looked at the budget, I'm sure. I've looked at it. I see that our debt has surpassed $16 trillion, and I know that painful cuts are around the corner. But that raises 3 questions, Mr. Romney. Number 1, and this is probably the most important of my 3. How do you expect to balance the budget if you won't cut 1 penny of our over $700 billion a year we spend on the military? $700 billion a year. That is half our deficit right there. How do you really think you're going to balance the budget if you take the single largest item of discretionary spending and say, I'm not going to touch that? How's it going to happen? And I know you're not going to raise taxes. You've already said that. So how else could you possibly cut our over $1 trillion deficit? The next question I have for you. How will you create an environment of job growth if you're supporting free trade agreements with Latin America? I'm glad that you're going to clamp down on China, and they are far more dangerous than Latin America. But as for Latin America, every time we enter a free trade agreement with any country there, the same thing happens. We end up importing far more than we export. And you know what that means? We lose a lot more jobs than we gain. So how do you think that free trade agreements, more of the same old stuff, how do you think that's going to actually generate more jobs than we will lose? Last question. How do you expect our economy to thrive when you're proposing eliminating highway funds? Oh, I know you like to say we built that, but you know what Obama was talking about when he said you didn't build that. He said you didn't build the roads, you didn't build the bridges, and he was right. You didn't build any of those things. You built your business. And good for you building your business. I'm not with this idea that you should be punished for your wealth. Good for you. But you know very well that you need infrastructure to run a successful business. And how are we going to compete in a 21st century economy if we're going to hold our infrastructure back to the 19th century? Those are my 3 questions for you, Mr. Romney. And I hope that many others will answer them as well, because I know I'm just a little guy on YouTube. You might not ever even notice this. But these are the kind of questions to my viewers that we all need to be asking Mr. Romney. Whether you're Republican, Democrat, left wing, right wing, chicken wing on a string at Burger King, we need to ask him these questions. Thank you all for tuning in to Blue Dog Radio. This is the Wag signing off.
You and I are told increasingly we have to choose between a left or right. Well, I'd like to suggest there is no such thing as a left or right. There's only an up or down.